All right. Well, thanks for starting the recording there, Alicia. So to preface and start off this call, I wanted to give a little bit of background of what this training demo is going to be for. So thanks everyone for joining and listening into this call. Throughout this call, we're going to be going through some different processes that the applicant will potentially have to go through within the new KY DLG portal. So we're going to go over a few different things within this training call. First, starting out with creating an account to the new Kentucky DLG portal, and then performing some managerial organizational processes, such as inviting new members, accepting a join request to the specific organization that you're a part of. And then the big part of today's training is going to be to go over submitting an e-Clearinghouse application, what that process looks like from end to end, how to start an application, how to be able to access it after it's been created, how to edit the different field inputs throughout the application, and then just the full structure of what that process will look like. Then once that's completed, we're going to go through some different scenarios that you might come across when completing a e-Clearinghouse application, such as if you need to withdraw an application from consideration for whatever reason, reopening that. We also have the ability to do that as well. Also being able to access and track information requests provided by reviewers when the application has been sent out for review. We also have the ability to access existing applications that have been created. So if you need to step away and navigate back to complete an application, we have the ability to do so. And then finally, going to be going over how to complete an extension request if your application is eligible. So starting out, what we see here is the new Kentucky DLG portal. So here on the top right, I'm just going to go through some different links that we see here on the homepage. Here on the top right, we have the ability to log in and register here, which we'll look at here in a little bit, and creating an account and ultimately what that looks like. Getting into the middle of the page here, we have the same link here that will take you to a login and register page. Next to that, we have an e-Clearinghouse button, and this page will show you more specific information regarding the e-Clearinghouse opportunity. And then when logged in, this is where you'll be able to start an application, is within this page once you navigate there. Lastly, we have this support page. So if you have any questions when you go through this process and want to contact DLG staff, you can click this button and it'll take you to the DLG page where you can submit a ticket for them to see. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the process of what it looks like to create an account within the new DLG portal here. So on the top right, I'm going to go ahead and click login and register. And this is going to bring me to a new login page where we can create an account from here. The first step when creating an account is we're going to want here on the bottom to click no account, create a new one. What we see here on the default page is just the general sign-in page for individuals who already have an account within the system. But since I want to create a new account within the system, I'm going to want to click no account, create a new one, and then it'll prompt me to input my specific email address that I want to create an account with. I'm going to go ahead and input this test email address, click next. And first step is going to be to validate that this is a correct email address. So it'll send a verification code to that particular email where we can copy the code and input it here. So I'm going to go ahead and click over to my email address here, my inbox, and we see this email with the verification code that I can copy and paste over to complete the account creation process. Just going to go ahead and enter some more information regarding the account, just the password that I can log in as, first name, last name, along with some phone number and display name as well. This display name does not really have any value, just for your personal sake. When you're logging in, you'll be able to see this display name when you log into the same browser. So I'll just input the name here as well, so I know that when I'm logging into the site, I'm logging in as this test user, Jonathan Crane. Go ahead and click next to the next page, and we'll see that the account was created. It'll ask me if I want to stay signed in, so that next time I log into the portal within this browser, it'll automatically log into this particular account that I have created. So I'll go ahead and click yes here. Let this load for a few seconds and it'll take me back to the DLG homepage, but I'll now be logged in as the Jonathan Crane account user that I just created. Give it a few seconds to load here. And when this loads, I'll go through the process of what it'll look like to both create an organization, so that way I can be assigned to this particular user can be a part of an organization, and then also show how I can send out a join request to an existing organization if it already exists. So again, here on the homepage, looks very similar to what we saw before I was logged in. Kind of same links here in the middle with e-Clearinghouse and support. Here on the top right, just going over some of the new links that we see here. So here on the top right, instead of login and register, I'm logged in as this Jonathan Crane. I can click here and I have a few different options to view regarding my specific profile, organization, or if I wanted to log out here as well. Next to that, we have this button for messages. This will show you all of the communication and automated system emails that you may potentially see within your inbox throughout the different process. So an example of this email is when you submit an e-Clearinghouse application, you'll receive just a confirmation email letting you know that you have successfully submitted, and that'll go to your inbox, but you'll also be able to view that here on the messages page as well. This shows all of the messages for all of the applications that you may create within this particular user. Right beneath that, we have an e-Clearinghouse drop down here. First, we're able to see an e-Clearinghouse details page. This shows the same details page that you were to see if you were to click here. And we'll take a look at that a little bit later on here in the demo when we get to create the e-Clearinghouse application. Below that, we're able to see a My Projects link. This is where we're going to be able to see all of the applications that have not only been created by myself, but all other individuals who are a part of my organization. So currently I'm not a part of an organization, so I would not see any applications here. But when I join an organization, we would then be able to see all of the applications that not only I create, but others within my organization create as well. And this is a page we'll get into a little bit later on within this demo as well when we get to managing different applications and different statuses. So as I mentioned, we'll get to these two pages a little bit later on within this demo. First, what I wanted to go over is how I can add myself to an organization within this new system. So clicking on my name here in the top right, if I were to click organization, it's going to bring me to an organization management page. First, I have the ability to see this screen that has all information regarding the organization that I'm a part of. Since I'm not a part of an organization, it's blank here. But this is also the page where I will be able to create an organization myself if I'm the first user for the particular organization logging into the system here, or if there's already an existing organization that I want to join, I can do that from this page as well. How to create an organization. So first would be to select whether you have a unique identifier or UEI, and then if we do, we can provide that here along with the organization name that we are creating. Or if we don't have a unique identifier UEI, we have the ability to select no, provide a different kind of identification number, whether it be a TIN, EIN, or state vendor account number, and then provide an organization name and then some contact information with an address and a phone number along with an extension as well. So that's pretty straightforward on how to create an organization if you're the first member logging into the system here. But what I wanted to demonstrate with this particular user is how to join an existing organization. So for this example, I have a test organization within the system with a TIN. Go ahead and paste that here. And when it recognizes the TIN is that it's already within the system for this Bluegrass Innovations LLC, I'll see a little pop-up here on top letting me know that this organization already exists, and it will give me the ability to request access to join this organization. So I want to join this organization. I'll go ahead and click Request Access. It's just going to ask me to verify that I want to join this organization, and I'm going to go ahead and click Confirm. So we'll see that the request was sent. So now an organization admin, so another individual who is a part of the organization and have an existing user as a part of the system, when they log in, they'll be able to accept or deny my join request, as we call them, for me to be a part of the organization. So I'll go ahead and go through that process now. I'm going to flip over to a different user where I'm logged into the system as a Josh Saldua, so myself. This user is a part of that same Bluegrass Innovations organization that we just sent a join request for, and I am an admin, so I'll be able to view that join request submitted by Jonathan and accept or deny it. And I'll also demonstrate how I can perform a few more tasks regarding management of organization members within the portal here as well. So same way to get to the organization page. I'm going to go ahead and click on my name here and click on the organization page. See a few more tabs here. So first wanted to go over how I do see specific information regarding the organization that I'm a part of. So I see Bluegrass Innovations LLC with the specific TIN that I specified previously, along with an address and phone number. I see a few more tabs here. I'm going to focus on the members tab here. This is where I am able to first see all of the individuals who are part of my organization currently. So here within my team, I see that there's also a Steve Davis and a Maria Garza who are a part of my organization, along with myself. We can also see that Steve and Maria, Steve is an admin, Maria is a staff. So this particular page that we're looking at that can manage specific users of the organization are limited to admins of the system. So since I'm an admin logged into the system, I have the ability to view this page and manage members, while Maria would not have the access to make the updates that I'm able to here on this page. So that's the key difference between the admin and staff types, which we'll be able to see how we can give the different types to different users on the system here in a second. So here in the bottom, we see there is one join request, the Jonathan Crane that we just created an account for and requested to be a part of this particular organization. We see that the status for this join request is pending, and as an admin, I have the ability to accept or deny this request to allow Jonathan to be a part of this organization or not. So here under the actions column, for this particular record, I have the ability to accept or deny the request. So when I accept or deny the request, it's going to determine whether Jonathan is able to be a part of the organization here for Bluegrass Innovations or not. I'll go ahead and accept his request as I know him, and I'll go ahead and I want him to be a part of the organization. It's just going to prompt me to confirm whether I want him to be a part of the organization or not, and it's going to add him as a staff member, and I'll go ahead and click confirm. Give me a loading window for a few seconds here, letting me know it's approving the request. And when this finally loads, we'll be able to see that he will be added to a part of the team table and his join request will be removed, as that table only shows pending join requests that need to be approved or denied. And there we go. We see that the page reloaded and that Jonathan here is now a part of the team as a staff member. We do have a few more management processes that we can complete here on this page as well for existing users. So if I wanted to make Maria an admin, for example, for this organization, again, under the actions drop down on this team subgrid, if I go to her particular row, click on the actions drop down, I can change the user type and update her to an admin on this page here. I'll go ahead and leave her as a staff for this particular example though. And then similarly, if I wanted to remove someone for the organization, say they're no longer a part of the team, I can remove them from the particular team as well with this remove from organization button. Last thing I want to cover on this organization management page is how we can invite users to the organization that I am already a part of. And we can do that here by the top right. We see this invite user button. If I click this, it's going to give me a little pop-up here where it can provide the first name, last name for the individual that I want to invite to the organization, along with an email address and what kind of contact type I want them to be, admin or staff. So I'll go ahead and send this to create a Pam Isley as an admin. When I click submit here, it's going to invite this individual with this email address. It's going to send them an email letting them know, hey Pam, you have been invited to join the Bluegrass Innovations organization within the Kentucky DLG portal. And then it's also going to have a link with some instructions for them to follow where they can create an account and be a part of this organization. So that's just about it for organization management and what applicants of e-Clearinghouse may have to do from a managerial perspective here in the organization tab. I'm going to go ahead and click back to the home page now, and we'll go ahead and get into submitting an e-Clearinghouse application and what that process looks like from end to end. And then, as I mentioned, a few extra scenarios that may come as a part of the business process for different statuses of applications that will be submitted. So first, we're going to go to the e-Clearinghouse details page. Again, that can either be accessed here in the header if I click on the e-Clearinghouse drop down and click details, or from here on the home page, I can click on e-Clearinghouse details here. And it'll bring me to a page that just has some specific information regarding the e-Clearinghouse opportunity. It also has some referential links here for KIA, the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority, the Kentucky Heritage Council, and then also a link to sam.gov for more specific assistance listing number information, which is formerly known as CFDAs, and will be created as a part of an application. For this particular example, I wanted to create an application and walk through that process. First, I'll go ahead and click Submit a Project here. It's going to bring me to a new page. It's going to bring me to the application form itself for e-Clearinghouse. And I know this application may look pretty similar to some of the questions that we're seeing here, but maybe structured a little bit differently. So here in this form, I'm going to go through some different things that we'll see here. So this e-Clearinghouse application on the DLG portal is broken out in 4 different sections. First, we have the applicant and grantee information, which is the first section that we're brought to here when we navigate to the application. Next, we have project information, utilities information, and estimated funding. I'll need to navigate through this application sequentially to get through these next steps of the application. And we'll see that process here from end to end. But a few other things to keep in mind as well. Say I don't have all the information for estimated funding or utilities information while going through this particular application. Once I create an application, I'll always have the ability to navigate back to it within the portal and finish it at a later time if needed. And that's something we'll look at as well once I walk through this application and get it fully submitted. So I'm going to go ahead and enter some test data for this particular application and show what this process looks like to fully submit an e-Clearinghouse application on the new DLG portal. So one thing I want to call out is going to be this organization lookup. So when we added a join request to be a part of the Bluegrass Innovation LLC, that's the particular business or company that I, Josh Saldua, work for, and Jonathan Crane, as we saw him request to be a part of the organization as well. That's a specific organization and company business that we work for, but for e-Clearinghouse, there's examples to where we may be submitting on behalf of others, and that's what we're asking for here on the applicant and grantee information section, is who are we submitting this application on behalf of? We have this lookup here to where we can look at all the organizations within the system, and we can select, if they are listed here, the organization that we're submitting on behalf of. So say, for example, I'm submitting an application for the organization I work for, so Bluegrass Innovations. I can select them here, And that way it is known that I am submitting this application for my particular organization, and I was able to find this organization in the search here as listed above. So I would be able to select, no, I was not unable to find this organization. But say I was submitting for an organization that's not listed within this lookup. If I were to clear this out and select yes, I was unable to find them, it would give me a single line text field to where I can specifically type in the organization that I'm submitting on behalf of. And that's something we'll see here as I go through the application process, is some conditional values that will either show, hide, or maybe require some specific fields as I go through the application. Did that to just streamline the process so that it's super easy for the applicant to know what is required and what is relevant when going through the application based off of specific inputs. So for this example, I'm just going to go ahead and select Bluegrass Innovations again, as I'm submitting on behalf of their organization for the organization I'm a part of. And I'll go ahead and enter some test data for the address, and then again going down here for the individual I'm submitting on behalf of. So right after I select the organization I'm submitting on behalf of, I'll then be asked who I'm submitting on behalf of, and I can specify that here. I'm submitting on behalf of a Mr. Josh Tom with their phone number and email here within this application. One thing I'd like to add, when you click Next on this bottom button here, it'll then save the inputs that you provided in the section. So as you go section by section throughout this application and you provide inputs, anytime you click Next, it'll always first save the inputs that you provided within that section that you just left. One thing to note on the first section of the application, when you're first creating an application, it's also generating the application specifically. So again, as I mentioned, if you need to navigate back to it for whatever reason, if you can't finish it all at this one time, it's creating the application record now and saving the inputs that you provided in the first section. So if I needed to navigate away or log out for whatever reason to gather information, or don't have time to complete the application at this moment, I can now log out, navigate away from the DLG portal, where I can then log back in at a later time and complete the application, knowing that the inputs that I provided in the first section and the applicant and grantee information section would be saved, and I can navigate back to it via the My Projects page. As I mentioned, we'll take a look at this process a little bit later on. Just want to go through end-to-end what the e-Clearinghouse application would look like from this example. So the second section is going to have specific information regarding the project. So say I have an arts project for the Riverbend for Performing Individual Arts project, and then just has some more information specific to the project itself. Again, we have some more conditional fields here. So if I were to select yes or no, we see that it might require me to upload a sitemap or not. I'm going to go ahead and say that this project does require some construction or renovation, and I'll go ahead and show what it looks like to upload a file to this application. And that is done by first clicking Choose a File. It's going to bring up your File Explorer, where you can provide a document to be added to this application. I'll go ahead and add this sample sitemap that I have on my File Explorer. We'll see this uploading files for a few seconds, and then when it uploads successfully, we'll see the green banner letting us know that it was added successfully to this application, and we'll also see it listed here. We're able to upload all major file types, so PDF, PNG, JPEG, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, among many others, just to name a few there. So pretty much all major file types are able to be uploaded to the DLG portal here. So should not have an issue with most file types there. So continuing on with the application, just going to go ahead and select no, this does not involve any construction of housing, running water, or purchase of real estate. I wanted to focus in on this is a statewide project question here, along with the county subgrid. So here we can denote whether this project is going to affect the whole state or just specific counties. If I were to select no, it will require me to provide specific counties within that will be affected by this particular project. But if I were to select yes, we see that that county subgrid is now hidden. And then just to note on the back end, what it's doing is associating all the counties to this particular application. So that way you know that this application is statewide and affecting all the counties within Kentucky. Go ahead and select no for this example so I can show what it'll look like to select different counties here. So here on the right, we have the ability to add counties to this project. So this will be able to select all the counties that are going to be affected by this particular project. And I can have the ability to select multiple all in one go. So say I want to select Bell and Boone that are going to be affected by this particular project. We also have the ability to search. So if I want to look for Henderson County, you can search for that in the top right and add that. Go ahead and add just a few more counties for this particular application, just at random, with this Leon and Marion County, and go ahead and click add. And when that loads, we'll see that those counties are now associated to this particular project. Say, for example, I selected one too many projects, so I did not need to select this Marion County, and it's not going to be affected by this project. Here under the actions column, I have the ability to click the three dots and remove the county if it's not relevant for this particular project. I also have the ability to go back and add more counties if needed by just following the same process of clicking add counties and selecting the relevant counties for this particular project. Continuing on with the application, just selecting the specific congressional districts for this project will affect. Beneath that, we have another what we call as a subgrid specifically for assistance listing numbers and the specific federal programs that will be providing assistance for this particular project. We can create these records similarly to what we just did with counties. So here on top, we click this create button. It's going to give us a new modal where we can input a specific ALN number and an ALN title. Just have some simple test data that I'll go ahead and input for this example. For the Community Arts Development Grants ALN. One thing I want to note on this specific creation of ALN records is that the number has to be in this format. So 2 digits dot 4 digits. So say for instance, if I only put 3 digits after the period here and try to submit, it'll show me an error saying I must follow this particular format to match what is in SAM.gov. And the specific assistance listing numbers that are in the system. So I'll go ahead, once I have that corrected with the specific ALN number and the correct ALN title, I can go ahead and submit this record and we'll see it added to the table here below, showing that it's now a part of this particular application. And we can add multiple ALNs as needed. So if I need to create another one here as well, I can do so by just following the same process of clicking the create button and inputting the specific number and title that I wish to add for this particular project. And click submit again, we'll see that second record added to the table here. Similarly to above, on the counties, if we need to make any edits for the records that we've created, or if we need to remove any, we have the ability to do so with the actions drop down here. So we have the ability to delete and edit. So say for instance, this bottom one, the Arts, Education, and Creative Youth Engagement Program is no longer relevant for this project. I can edit it and provide the correct number and title that will be affected by this project. So I'll go ahead and have that updated and I can click submit here and we'll see the table update with the corrected information that I just provided. Say I want to remove an ALN altogether, I can do that here as well with the actions bullets here and just by clicking this delete button. It'll ask me to verify that I want to delete this record. I can click delete and it'll remove that ALN from this particular application. So just moving forward with the application now, just have some more straightforward questions based off of who I'm applying, what kind of grants I'm applying for within this application. Say I'm going to go ahead and apply for federal grants from the Department of Education, and then I'm not applying for state grants. Something you notice here, again, we have some more conditional fields. So because I selected I am applying for federal grants, I had to specify what kind of federal agency. But because I'm not applying for state grants, I didn't have to specify what agencies I was applying for grants from. Just continuing down the application, apply a specific start date for this project. This applicant is not delinquent on any federal debt, and then provide a street address with a latitude and longitude if desired. And then you must provide a specific project description and a need for a project as well if desired. One thing I'd like to make a note of as well is here to the right of these specific fields, we see an asterisk, and that's going to denote which fields are required versus which fields are not required. So because these fields have a red asterisk, it's going to note that I do need to populate these fields before moving on to the next section, versus this need for project, I do not have to populate a need for project to continue on with this application. But say I do have one for this project and I want to add it as a part of my application, I can do so as well. Something to note with these two fields is that they are limited to a specific character count, so the project description cannot go past 3,000 characters. If you try to go past 3,000 characters, it'll prevent you from doing so. And then similarly here for the need for project, you must be below 500 characters here to move forward with the application. I'll go ahead and click next to go to the next section of the application. Again, just a reminder, as I click next, it's saving all the inputs that I provided within that section. So everything that I provided in project information is now saved. So if I were to navigate back to this application after logging out, I would be able to see that both project information and applicant and granting information have been saved, and I can see all the inputs that I provided while I've been going through this application right now. So here on the utilities information section, just have some specific information regarding wastewater and solid waste information. Again, we have another conditional field here. So based off of the wastewater disposal method, we're going to see some different fields. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and select just existing publicly owned and input a plant name. And then here for solid waste, we see that none of these are required, so I can leave them empty if desired. So I'll go ahead and do that here, just showing that I don't have to populate the fields that are not required to complete my application. And I'll go ahead and click next. Again, same thing here. We now see that the utilities information section has been saved. And just to demonstrate that and how I can navigate back if needed, say a change was made for the project, I can always navigate to the previous sections by using the previous button here at the bottom, and we can see all of the inputs on the previous sections were saved from when I was going through the application initially. Even going back here to project information, I can see all those inputs, and if I were to go back to the applicant granting information, same thing there. I'll be able to see all the inputs that I provided when I first went through that section. I'm going to move forward to the funding section now. One thing I'd like to note here is before you submit an application, you must have input your funding. You cannot submit an application with a funding of $0. If I tried to submit here, it's going to give me an error saying my total funding must have a value of at least 1. So I'll go ahead and input the particular funding. As I was requesting federal funds, I'll go ahead and put 850,000. Not requesting state funds, and then say this program is gonna make $100,000 throughout this project. So now that I have my funding populated, I can go ahead and submit my application to be evaluated by DLG staff. So when I submit my application, it's closing the application down, so I do not have the ability to edit the application at this point. I do have the ability to view it as needed and kind of the comments as it goes through the review process. I'll be able to see whether it's being endorsed, not endorsed, along with any other comments, and have communication back and forth between the DLG staff, also reviewers as needed. So when the application has been fully submitted, you are now taken to what we call the My Projects page. So just a reminder here, if you click on the e-Clearinghouse dropdown, we do have a link to the My Projects page. So at all times, if you want to view the applications that have been created for your organization, you can do so by clicking on the My Projects page here. And it'll bring you here to show you all of the applications that have been created for the organization that you are a part of. So we see I have 5 applications created here, all in different statuses, but here on top I have this one that's submitted with the SAI number ending in 7. This is the one that I just created and just walked through within this demo and submitted as a part of this process. As I mentioned, I do not have the ability to edit this application at this time, and we can see that specified here in this open column. We can see all of these applications that are not in the draft status are set to no because they've been closed and I do not have the ability to edit this application. But we do see this one draft application because it's been started, but it has not yet been submitted. So I have the ability to go back in, navigate to the application, and complete it. One other keynote that I want to demonstrate here as well, as I mentioned, we have the ability to see applications created by anyone within my organization and not just myself. So here in the applicant column, we see 3 applications created by myself, Josh Saldua, and then we also have 2 other applications created by this Steve Davis, who is a part of the organization, but is not myself. So for this particular example, wanted to demonstrate how I can open up an open application that has not yet been submitted, provide final inputs, just to do a quick one-over review, internal review to make sure everything's good to go before I submit it. So we see this application that's been in draft, created by Steve Davis, and it is open. I can go ahead and click this link here for the Kentucky DLG application number, and it's going to take me to what we call the applications details page. This page is going to show me specific information regarding the application. So here on just a high-level overview of the different tabs that this page is broken out into. First, we have the summary tab, which is going to show all of the inputs provided as a part of the application. So just scrolling down quickly here, we see all of the inputs pretty much mirroring what we saw in the application. This is useful if we need to print out the application at any point. We can come to the summary tab and just do a simple Control-P to print out this page. Next, we have a status and decision. This is where we'll be able to see and track the status of the application at any point, and also if there has been a decision made on the application. Next, we have messages. If there's been any communication back and forth between DLG or reviewers, or if I send any communication out as the applicant within the system here, we'll be able to see them listed here. Next, comments. If this application was sent out to be reviewed, we'll be able to see any comments along with the endorsement or non-endorsement decision here on this page. Next, we'll see documents. So this is going to show all of the documents provided within the application. So within this application, I provided a sitemap on that sitemap upload, and we'll be able to see that here. And also, if this application has a letter attached to it as well, we'll be able to see that here in the Documents tab also. Lastly, we have an extension request tab here, which will show all of the extension requests. So if this application had been completed and I had submitted an extension request on it, we will be able to see it here on this tab. And we'll be able to take a little bit of a deeper look at each one of these tabs as I get into some of the scenario demonstrations here in a moment. So getting back to what I was showing to here is how I can edit an application that has been created but not yet submitted. Again, this is a draft application created by Steve Davis, a member of the organization. Say I've gathered the information, and in this particular example, I did not have Steve did not have the funding information for this application, so was not prepared to submit this application. So I do have the funding information. What I can do is here on the top right, and what we call the actions drop down, I can click that and click edit application. It's going to open up the application to the most recent spot where it was left off at. Again, just to demonstrate, to show how all of the previous inputs were saved, I can click previous to view all of the inputs provided by Steve when he was initially creating this application. And if needed to, I can update any of this information as needed when going throughout this application. So say I want to update these two fields to say no, it's not a statewide project, have these counties selected, and it does not involve construction of housing, running water, or wastewater lines, or purchase of real estate. Have those two fields updated, and then click next. Oh. These two fields there. So going back to providing the funding for this particular application. So again, I'm editing this application. I have the funding for it, the funding information for it. I want to submit it on behalf of the organization. I can go ahead and provide that here. And I can submit this application at this point, being a member of this organization. Similar thing here. Once I submit it, I do not have the ability to edit it, and it's sending it out to be evaluated by DLG. And we can see here that application created by Steve Davis is now submitted and has an SAI number as well, as that gets generated once an application is submitted as well. So a few more scenarios that I wanted to go through. So say, for instance, I submitted this application prematurely and I want to withdraw it from consideration. I do have the ability to do so here within the portal, and I can do so here on this page by clicking the actions. I have the ability to withdraw this application. So say I know I just submitted this application, but I want to withdraw it from consideration. Steve got back to me, let me know that there was something else regarding this application, and I need to pull it from consideration from DLG. I'll go ahead and click withdraw application. It's going to prompt me to confirm, and yes, I do want to withdraw this application. I'll go ahead and click withdraw here. We have the ability to withdraw applications that are in both the submitted status and the under review status. So even if an application has been sent out to be reviewed, we would have the ability to withdraw that application, and then any review comments that have been added will be deleted. But at this point, if I do want to reopen the application and submit it, say I gathered what I got with Steve and got whatever information that I needed to fully submit the application, and I do want it to be considered by DLG and reviewed as well. Same thing here on the actions dropdown. I have the ability to reopen the application. It's again going to prompt me if I want to confirm that I am reopening this application. I can click confirm here. You get a loading screen letting me know that it's reopening the application. And then the main difference that we're going to see here is now the application is open. Again, this column denotes whether the application is open for editing or not. So now this application is open for editing. So I can go into similarly to edit the application, and then I can resubmit it. So here all the inputs that I provided originally, it's going to have me go through the application again, but I have the ability to resubmit it and then send it back to be considered by DLG. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the My Projects page. I'll leave that as in that status for now. I'm not going to go ahead and resubmit that at this moment as we walk through the submission process earlier on in this call. Just wanted to show how we have the ability to both withdraw and reopen applications as needed. Next, I wanted to go through the process of, say, for example, I have this application that has been sent to be reviewed, but there was a question by one of the reviewers specifically regarding one of the water lines for this application that I need to specify before they can provide their comments and continue on with the review process. So clicking on this application, bringing me to the application details page, I'm going to specifically go to the comments. Oh, might have gone to the wrong application there. Apologies. Yep, apologies. Went to the wrong application there. So I'm going to open up this application number 1040 with the SAI ending in 6. This application has been sent to be reviewed, but there has been some questions regarding this application, some information requests sent by reviewers of the application that I need to respond to. So I can go ahead and click on the Messages tab here, and it's going to show me, might not have. Oh, I'm sorry. I had the right application open to begin with. Apologies there. Sorry, restarting how I can answer an information request as an applicant for the organization. So I'm going to go back and open up this 1038. This application has been sent out to be reviewed. It has passed Kentucky DLG's evaluation and has now sent to be reviewed. If I click on this Messages tab here, I see that there was an information request sent by the Buffalo Trace ADD, specifically regarding the water lines for this particular project and how they'll be affected. So I can click here to the right. I can view the message for this particular application and this information request. I see there's a question, how many water lines will be affected by or created by this project? I can simply click reply here. I can say there will be 10 water lines affected. And I can send this to allow the Buffalo Trace ADD to continue on with their review now that they have an answer to the question. I see that message has now been successfully sent, and then should see it added here to the list. See that the message was created, and I responded with there will be 10 water lines affected. So now Buffalo Trace is unblocked and they have the answer to the question for their water line inquiry, and they can continue on with their review. I'm going to go ahead and click back to my projects page. One additional thing that I wanted to show before I finish this training demo is how I can create an extension request for a completed application. So here, this bottom application, 1037, the SAI ending in 4, this application has been completed, but I want to create and submit an extension request for this particular project. I can do so from the application details page as well. So if I go ahead and click into this application's details page for this particular application, I can see that this application has been completed. One other thing to note as well, here on the status and decision, because this application has been completed, I see the status updated to completed, when the application was submitted, when the decision was made, and what the decision ultimately was for this application. This application was endorsed with waivers. Clicking over to the Documents tab as well, just wanted to demonstrate how I can see the letter here as well. So as a part of this decision, I was also sent a particular e-Clearinghouse letter with waivers to show that this application was endorsed. And if I wanted to view this, I could do so here. I can click on this link and it's going to download the document to my computer where I can view it and do whatever I need to with that letter document. Continuing on with the extension requests, here on the top right, under the Actions dropdown, I have the ability to create an extension request. If this application is eligible for it, and this application is, I can go ahead and click Create Extension Request. It's going to open up a new form we call the Extension Request form. Similar process that we saw previously with the application. Similar formatting here, just with different questions specifically pertaining to the extension request. And I can go ahead and click Next here. It's going to bring me, this is again creating the extension request as I clicked Next on the first step. It's creating that extension request, and it's going to allow me to provide whether I am requesting any changes to the project and the specific changes that were made. If I select here, it is going to require me to provide a description versus if I select no, I do not need to provide a description of the changes made for this project. I'll go ahead and say no, there aren't any changes for this project, and I'll go ahead and click submit. So that extension request is now being sent to DLG for them to review and ultimately make a decision on whether this application will be extended or not. And that is just about it for this training demo. So just to recap of what we went through throughout this training demo is first we were able to create an account to the DLG portal and then send a join request out. Also went over how to create an organization if needed. Next, we went over some organizational management issue processes that an organization admin that can do. Specifically regarding members, being able to approve or deny join requests, send out invitations for individuals to be added to the organization that I'm a part of. Next, we went through specific e-Clearinghouse application processes. So first going end to end, submitting an application and what that process will look like. Then we went through some different scenarios of different processes that needed to be done for applications that were in different statuses. So went over editing an existing application that had been created and then resubmitting that. And then we went over some different things versus such as withdrawing an application and then reopening the application to be edited and submitted. And then we went over how we can respond to an information request that was sent by a reviewer conducting a review on the application. And then lastly, what we just went over now is how to submit an extension request. Thanks for listening to this training demo. Please reach out to Kentucky DLG if there's any further questions or reference the training documentation provided as well. But I think that's it, Alicia.